Hello, I'm Joan Manson of the Seminole County Library System. Thank you for joining me today as I share with you a portrait in charcoal of my dog, Renard. This is to give you an opportunity to work on hair and features of the canine. And this is the close-up and the saturated picture that I took from this original photograph. So now let's get started.
I am using a General's charcoal block, a General's hard pastel pencil. I also have a Creative Charm charcoal pencil. Somebody gave me a box full of them, which is wonderful, and I'm never going to run out of charcoal pencils. And I'm using demonstrating at least, a pencil cap eraser. These are very cheap. For $1.80 you can get a dozen of them in a package. And I have my Mono Zero eraser, which is also not too expensive, and the pencil itself is a mechanical pencil. There are eraser refills. And I have a couple of blending stumps. Blending stumps essentially last forever. You may want to use different blending stumps for different colors, but in order to clean them, all you do is rub them on a paper towel, and if it seems not to be coming off, you can always rub them with an eraser, a soft eraser. But you can also draw with the accumulated charcoal or graphite that is on this. You can also, if you choose, use cotton swabs. I don't tend to keep my cotton swabs beyond the project I'm working on, but it's certainly inexpensive enough to buy a box of 100 of them and have them around as you need them when you're not using them to apply makeup or clean your ears. So let me put these over here. I'm using a simple drawing book, a Strathmore drawing book. It's drawing paper. It's 8 by 10. 8, yeah, and or 8.5 by 10, and it's a good quality paper. Certainly, charcoal, you can use it on any kind of paper. You can use it on pastel paper, or you can use them on sanded papers. You can use them on watercolor paper. You can use them on other drawing papers. You can use them on vellum or Bristol, whatever you'd like. They're pretty versatile as a medium. I am going to do it on here, and I've already done a couple of portraits in practice. I'm going to start a new one, but I am going to transfer, using an embossing tool, I'm going to transfer a basic outline onto my paper because this is what I invite my students to do. I just want to walk through that. I'm just going to some of the outer edges. I'm not going to draw in all the lovely curls and golden locks. I'm using an embossing tool. You can use a mechanical pencil or a regular pencil or a pen or whatever you'd like. And then I'm just Now remember, I am transferring this with charcoal. So the charcoal will rub away pretty easily if I'm not happy with something. A little eye in here. Okay. Do a little double line on my baby here. Get my eraser. Okay. And I'm going to use, just use my charmed pencil. You can use any of the pencils you like. And in the background, we can hear said same Renard barking. I'm just drawing in the curls a bit. I want to fill in darker areas first, shaded areas. And I plan to do this in an almost, well, like rendering. You fill the page with graphite, and then you go back with an eraser and you take out the light areas. This is a black and white photo. I think I'm going to erase this. This is a stray hair. I may or may not have it in my portrait. I'll certainly have some stray hairs of my little puppies. Now, I'm going to use the block. This part of Renard's body is in shadow. That block blends much more nicely. Not very expensive. You can get them at any of the art supply stores, and Walmart, I believe, carries them. And you may be able to find them in Office Depot and Staples. I didn't look for them there, but they both have a nice selection of art materials and drafting materials so that you can get a good collection of drawing pencils and erasers, pencil sharpeners, X-Acto blades. They sell pastels, they sell paints. I'm going on about office supply stores. I use Staples because it's closest to me. I also use Office Depot when I happen to be close by one, if I happen to be in search of something. It's very relaxing. And pretty much what's going on here is shadow. I'm going to come in and darken the eyes and the nose. Let's just do this little one. Blend that down. Got a sharp edge here at the nose. My baby's not supposed to have a sharp edge. Now, use my finger and blend this in a little bit more smoothly. A little bit. I'm laying in wherever I see darker areas on the fur. I'm not the curls or the fur coming down. But I am trying to keep my blending stump strokes in the direction of fur wherever I seem to be adding shadows within the fur. The blending stump is really wonderful. They do last forever unless you try to do something silly like clean them on a piece of sandpaper or cut them away. But as I said, if you're using them with pastels, I separate them out by the colors that you're using. Blues, reds, yellows. Because if you you pick it up and use it again, it's going to add that color if it's not been completely removed from the stump. Now, my sweet little darling, I'm going to, because we've got fine hairs coming from the dog, and that light is coming down, making it very, very blonde or white. And in his case, he has white hair. He has a beautiful white streak on his forehead. I'm going to shade in this area very lightly, so that I'll be able to draw those light lines over. I'm going to use this. I'm just doing it lightly. And I'm not worried about overlapping the hair or the head. Because I'll take care of that with the eraser when I'm rendering my little darling. Now, if you don't have the block, you could do this with the pencil. It just take a little bit longer, but you can just blend in the charcoal pencil. And I'm going to wipe off my fingers, because now they are covered in charcoal. I use moist towelettes. And looking at my original drawing, and the beginning of my sketch. You can see there's an actual resemblance. Now I'm going to start using my erasers. One of the erasers that I have is a Faber-Castell pencil eraser. Sharpen it just like a pencil. It's the pink eraser. And I'm going to get a piece of paper towel. Back here. I had to change batteries, so I'm re-angling and I'm back again with my beautiful portrait to be of Mon Petit Chien Rouge, Renard. Okay, I was about to demonstrate the Faber-Castell pencil eraser. And they come in packages of 2, and I think it was $8 or $7.50 or something like that. But of course, they last all the way down to there. So it's not. We can do the fine hairs with this. Now this works almost as well as using my Mono Zero eraser. I say almost as well because it's just a little bit whiter and I can make greater strides with it. So during this program I'm going to use both, but you can certainly use just that one. I just want it to stand out more. And I want my cute little hairs. Okay. Then by the same token, we can just do little lines with this that you can't do with the mono eraser, as if you were doing pencil strokes. And you may have to brush it back and forth a couple of times, the way you would with a pencil. Now, in demonstrating the pencil cap eraser, I'm just going to make sure I have clean off the bottom. It gives you the ability to do the thicker strands of fur. Now, Renard is part Yorkie and part Pomeranian, so he has both fur and hair. These beautiful long locks are his Yorkie hair. And in between all of that, we also have beautiful, rich Pomeranian fur. I can use it to make little curls, push and lift, just like you would with a paintbrush. But you see, because I have that charcoal background and the image is so light in that area, I'm able to do this Now you could also do it, if you were doing it from a color drawing, a color photograph and doing a black and white, you could just do it in light pencil marks. It wouldn't matter. Here we go. And I'm dragging those lines across the mouth. Okay. Isn't he adorable? He is just such a sweet blessing. I'm sure everybody feels that way about all of their own pets. My Renard showed up in my backyard. I was, sort of in a mind to have a dog. I was renting a house on 4 acres of land and living in rural South Georgia. My friend, and also my boss, but my friend had 4 or 5 or 6 dogs at any given time, and every last one of them a rescue. Dogs who just showed up at her house. One dog came and knocked on her door at Thanksgiving. The people who lived next door had just moved away and left her behind. Here I am just bringing the eraser in very lightly, so it's toned. It's not as stark. I don't necessarily need all the locks to be, and I'm using the word locks to refer to his fur. There we go. So you can use any of these erasers, they'll be just fine. What's really cool is you can just cross over strands of hair in the opposite direction or in a side direction, and it looks like the hair is just blowing on top of itself. And he's coming along beautifully. This is really a lovely technique. Just lighten this a bit, not too much. And there's where those strands would have been of loose hair. There are many, many different kinds of erasers you can use. Statler makes, I've got it here somewhere, I haven't opened it up yet to try it. I haven't opened this up yet. Statler makes an eraser that's probably 5 millimeters. It's Mars plastic, just like their other square, rectangular ones rather, and it works beautifully. their other erasers work beautifully, so I was sure that this one would as well. I went ahead and purchased it to have it on hand. It's flat, so you can do edges. You could probably do very broad strokes with it. And it is latex free in case that's an issue for you. And Staedtler's materials are high quality. I have their pencils, I have other erasers, I have measuring tools, a variety of things that come from Staedtler. I'm very pleased with their materials, and I never worry about buying them. I'm always pleased with them. They may not do what I'd intended to do with them to begin with, but I always find a good use for them. Always pleased with them. And they last a long time. I mean, they last until you wear them out. And it's not easy to wear them out. I think he's looking beautifully. Now, I'm going to use this pencil and come over here and do this. Not quite light enough. I'm going to use my model eraser. Let me bring my charcoal pencil over here. I want the hairs to be more visible, so I'm bringing in the charcoal and get that blending stump. Lay that shadow down. And just so you know, this is something you can do in painting as well. You can certainly paint in shades of gray and then come back over the dark areas with light gray and white for the same effect. That's how traditional grisaille underpainting is done. And then they come back over and they glaze. You can do that in oil or acrylic paint. And I just want to have the feeling of hair. I don't want it to be smooth. Just fine dashes of line. And let me try that pencil now that I have a darker area. Oh, that's looking much better. Oh, and these pencils also come here. Faber-Castell also makes a slightly broader tipped or pencil eraser. We used to call these typewriter erasers. In the olden days, when we had manual typewriters, we'd erase with the one tip and we'd brush away the crumbs of the eraser with the brush on the other side. And I haven't used this yet. I ordered them to share so that I could let my students be aware of all these materials. And it occurs to me that while I'm blowing things away, I should show you how it works. This too is by Faber-Castell. I think I paid less than $8 for it. There are 3 in the package. These are things that you could get at Michael's and Hobby Lobby and Sam Flax and probably Walmart's art department and the business department. Office supply stores may carry them. Just going to use my little brush to brush away the crumbs. Okay. And while you're in there, if you want to, you can brush. And this is a slightly, I guess it's slightly broader, not much. It's just the same thickness, but where this one was brought in at a tip, this one is brought in with a flat surface. And that's because it's meant to go this way. There we go. You can also use the little edges of it. So we have that as well, and I'm just going to brush away the little eraser crumbs. And you can have this on hand to use for brushing away crumbs from anybody's eraser. It doesn't have to be just this one. See? I've got crumbs. I can brush them away with this. Also, paintbrush will work for that as well. Just wanted to blend this in a bit. And then come back with this eraser. And you use whatever feels better for you. Now, I do not like this area and this area. I find them to be too dark and standing out. So what I'm going to do is bring back this eraser and lightly draw it down. I'm not going to make it white. I'm just going to lightly draw it down. Lighten it up a bit. And come back. And a little balance of additional contrast. That little bit of extra darkness there caused there to be imbalance in the artwork. And then I can bring back this pencil here. And I have the same issue over here. I'll lighten that a bit. There we go, that looks much better. Now we have the issue of the eye. I'm going to use my mono eraser here. because there are little hairs. Apply the shadow here. And I'm going to use my little blending stump. And try here. I want to cause a little bit of a shadow to occur. With the hairs, but I don't want it to be so obvious, so I'm going to use my blending stump to blend that shadow in to the fur beneath. I don't want it to be harsh. There, that looks much better to me. And I'm going to take a few stray hairs floating around over here. It's very faint, it's just subtle little streaks of the hair. And I'm looking actually at the picture in the video, not the paper in front of me, so that I can get a sort of a stand back. When I do these, I like to take pictures as I go. I haven't been doing that for this project. So I can use that to stand back, in effect, and look at it and see where I think I need something else. But you know, I really love the way this is coming out, and I am pronouncing this to be complete. So I am going to sign this. And today is 10/24. Okay. I will not be releasing this video until I do my art class, which won't be until November the 10th. So, I'm just saying, I signed this on October the 24th. I'll have to edit it and everything, but I don't want to release it until I've done my class, because then my students can look back on this and do this particular piece. Now, this is a portrait of Mon Petit Chien Rouge Renard, my little red dog, and I'm so happy you were able to join me today. I hope you enjoy working with charcoal, giving it another chance. As I said, these materials are relatively inexpensive. You can get for probably $12 or so, you'll have the pencils and the charcoal and everything that you need, and you'll be good to go. If you don't want to use the blending stumps, you can just use cotton swabs, or you can use paper towels and Kleenex, whatever you wish to do, and you can wrap it around a pencil to use it for blending instead of a blending stump. But everything that I have here is, when you get down to it, is really pretty affordable and will last a very long time.
Thank you for joining me once again, and I look forward to working with you the next time.